What's up guys, Ammar here and I'm back with another video. In this one we're gonna create our idle manager that we will use for offline earnings, how to have them, and we will store all of our integers like length, strength, costs, wallet, and so on. So without further ado, let's get started. For this one we're gonna go to scripts, create a separate folder that we're gonna call screen, or let's say managers script, like this, because this script will go into the managers game object. So right click, create a C# script, and we're gonna call this idle manager. Once Unity loads that up, add our idle manager onto our managers, and we are ready to open that up in our Visual Studio or MonoDevelop, depending on what you have or what are you using. And as you know, your guy, Magic Coding, we're gonna start things off by deleting the comments as soon as Visual Studio loads up. So I'm gonna delete the comments like this. So first, we are gonna say public int. We're gonna have our public int length, but this public integers are gonna be hide in inspector. So what is the difference? Well, basically, if you put public int hide length and put hide in inspector, you will not see them in inspector. But basically, if public any type of variable, I'm going to say here in strength like this. So this is public, and I go back to Unity, I can see it in idle manager. But I put down for my public int length to hide in inspector, meaning that I will not see it in inspector, but strength I will see. So we're going to do that for every our integer which is public. So hide in inspector. So I'm just gonna copy this because I will use that a lot. Next off will be our public and offline. So offline earnings. So earnings like this. Then we're gonna have our public and length. So length cost. Then again our public integer, guess what? Strength cost. And last but not least, we're gonna have our public offline earning. So public int off, so not capital O, but offline earnings cost, like this. And then we're gonna have two more, which is gonna be our wallet. So public int wallet. So this is our money that we have, and our hide inspector public int total gain. So this is how much we gained. Now we're gonna have our another private integer, but not hide inspector. But this is gonna be an array of integer, and this will be costs. So costs. COSTS equals to new integer, which is an array, and then we're gonna add the curly brackets like this, and add curly brackets, add semicolons so we do not get errors. And here I'm gonna write some numbers, like how much will be the cost for everything. So it's gonna be first like 112, then I'm gonna have, let's say, 151, then what else? Let's say 179, let's else what can be 250, and I'm just gonna go ahead and write some numbers. I mean, you can copy this, you can even type in your own numbers, you can do some mathematical stuff so you can see what actually works, but I recommend to do just the numbers that are pretty close to each other, and as the list goes up, they are kind of separating. So let's say, for example, here is 31 between these numbers. Here it's probably a bit more, not probably, but like 46. Then from this to this is 53 and so on. You get the idea. It's little by little increasing the difference between numbers. So let's say I'm gonna write down some numbers. I'm not gonna write a lot of them, but of course it will not be even that small, just so we can work with it. So let's say 199, or no, like this, 190 or 9011. That's what I'm trying to say. 27, 89, and here I'm gonna speed up a little bit. And that will be enough for our cost. I mean, you can add even more numbers, but we are doing just a tutorial. I do not want to spend whole video just typing in some numbers. And last but not least, we will have our public static instance, which we'll call not instance, public static idle manager, which we'll call instance. My bad. Like this. And then inside of the awake function, we have to point out that instance is equal to this. But first we're gonna check if our idle manager dot instance is true. We are gonna say unity, not curly brackets are not needed, unity engine dot object. So we can just say object dot destroy, and we are destroying our game object, which is actually the instance. Else, if we have it, if we do not have it, we're gonna say idle manager dot instance equals to this. Simple as that. Then right below, we're gonna write our length, how much will be. So let's say our length equals to player preferences dot get integer, and we're getting integer, which is our length. So length like this, and it will be 30 as a default value. So what is this player preferences? So here, as the description says, I always look at description first, stores and access player preferences between game sessions. So what does this mean? Oh, I forgot to add minus here. Our length is negative. Well, basically it means, as it said, it stores, so it will store this get integer length by ID. Then if you want to get that ID, you will have to use the same ID as we use it. So we can even set integer, which we'll do later on. And when we get it, it will go and search for the length. Now, if I were to close up the game and come back, the length will be same. Why? Because it's stored somewhere else. But if I were to do the same thing, like length equals to float or something like that is not player preferences. If I point it out to somewhere else and it's not probably getter and setter, then we will have a problem because it will not be saved. And like this, we can save our values. Then we'll have same for the strength. Strength equals to player preferences dot get integer. We're getting our strength. So strength like this. And the strength default will be 3. And then offline earnings equals to player preferences dot get integer. And we're getting, of course, our offline. I'm just going to type it like offline. And offline will be $3 per minute. Now we have to set up our length cost. So length cost. So length cost equals to cost, so it really equals to cost, then our length divided by 10 minus 3. So this is what are we getting. So this is what we will use for the length, because length is a big number, it's 30. If you divide it by 3, then it becomes 3 minus 3 is 0. So it's actually this one here. We're going to do the same thing as for our strength cost. So strength costs, where is it? Equals to costs, then our strength minus 3 and semicolon. Then offline earning costs equals to costs, and then costs minus 3. same as for the strength. What's the problem here? Integer, not cost, my bad, offline earnings -3. So I was like, what was the problem? And last but not least, we will say that our wallet equals to player preferences dot get integer, and we will get our wallet, and the default will be 0. So we will start from the bottom of the bottoms in this game. Void update will not be needed, but here we will script up next our application, our function that is actually inside of the unit, which is our private void. So void on application quit, or not pause, and we will have our boolean pause, but we're not gonna say pause, but paused. So because we're gonna pause it. Now but you can put anything you want, of course. If it's paused, meaning that we left, we're gonna say date time, and to actually use the date time, we will have to using system, like this. So now we are actually, and we'll have a problem, so unity engine.object.destroyed. That's why I started to writing this, but I thought that we will not need it. Now datetime now equals to date time dot now this, what I'm doing is basically the C# script, and daytime we're getting the daytime which is right now. So when we quit, we're gonna get the time which is right now. In my case, it's 1:23 p.m. And then when we come back to the game, let's say we come back at 2 p.m., we're gonna calculate how many minutes we were gone, and for every minute we're gonna get $3 by default. Now if you expand offline earnings, you'll get a lot more. So we're gonna say player preferences dot set string, and we are setting our date, and then we're saying string dot empty. So we're gonna put down our empty string. Come on, what just happened? Like this, empty. All right, semicolon. It's not L, but semicolon. We're saying string dot empty. And then we're gonna have our mono behavior dot print. We're gonna print the time that we left. So it's now dot to string. This is not necessary, but I'm just gonna put down as example so you can see that what are we actually doing. So else, we're gonna say string is at string, which is equal to player preferences dot get string. And we are getting our date, which is by default string empty. The empty, we will have no string at all. Then if our at string, so not this string, I wrote it down badly. string, yep, string is not equal to string dot empty, meaning we have something. Then we're gonna say date time d equals to date time dot praise, so praise, and we're gonna praise it at our string like this, just like that. We're gonna praise it right there. Then we're gonna say total gain equals to date, so open up the curly brackets, date time, so date time dot now, minus the time that we have left, now we came back, dot total minutes, so total minutes, multiply by offline earnings plus 1.0, like this, plus 1.0. And something is not working. Okay, we have to say that all of this is actually an integer, not a float. And still it is not working. Yeah, basically because we have to add one more and put it right here. So this total gain is actually an integer, and if we do not say that all of this that we have calculated is an integer, then it's float, and we cannot put our integer to be a float. We can say that float is 1, but we cannot say that integer is 1.5. That's not possible. So this is why we have to add brackets for integer that will put all of this as an integer, not as a float. And then we will have our screen manager return like this. So yeah. And now when we actually have another function, which are private void on application quit, when we actually quit, we're going to say on application pause is actually equals to true. So when it's true, we're going to check what time that we left. And when we come back, we are gonna calculate from how many minutes, total minutes we have been gone. And then from there, we are gonna get some money off of it because we have offline earnings in our game. Now, okay, let me try and show you an example, but actually we have no return screen to actually show how much money we will get. But if I print here, let's say what was total gain, probably we'll get at least 1. So like right now, I start our game and we have array and we immediately have the problem. So let me see. So land cost, and this is not okay. I'm gonna check this later on, but first I'm gonna show you. So as you can see, we printed out when we left. So it's 1:27:46. When I come back to our game, we're gonna have some gain from it. And we actually did not have anything because we have a problem inside of our game. And this length cost, this does not work. Length cost equals to, okay, it's not length but minus length. My bad. Length cost minus length. Now it should work. I always forgot to put minus because it's something that I usually don't do when I'm working with numbers, but silly me. You probably look at me like I'm some weird. So when we come back, we left. Why do we? Okay, I'm gonna actually put this in start or awake because we do not have start. So when we quit, so let's say right now, we should have some total gain off of it with 0. And okay, this does not work right now, but you will see later on when we print it, you will have total gain on it. Moving on, as I embarrass myself with our buttons, we will actually script the buttons here, and we will have our public void length, so not length but by length, so we can know actually what is this for, parentheses, curly brackets. And every time we purchase some length, we're gonna minus equal that to 10. So we're gonna increase our length by 10 every time we buy it. Then we will have our wallet minus equals to our length cost. Now length cost. So every time we buy it, we're actually gonna pay for it, of course. And then we're gonna say length cost equals to costs. So costs. Now actually I'm just gonna go ahead and copy this. And oh, we have a problem here. It's not length but negative length because our length is always negative, not positive at all. So minus length, make sure you keep that so you don't get any problems. Then we're gonna put down some player parameters set integer. And we're gonna first set our length, so quotes, length, and we're gonna set it by how much? Well, basically as for our length, so minus length. So this, what are we doing here? We're just setting up our length once again. Let me sure that I spelled that correctly, so I will have no errors at all. And again, we're gonna say player preferences dot set integer, and we are setting down our wallet. For how much? Well, actually for our wallet, of course. And then last but not least, we will screen manager main. So we'll go back to main. So we're gonna do the same thing for our strength as for our length. So let me check here, strength, like this. So here it's strength. And it's not minus, but plus actually, so strength plus, it will go just by 1. Wallet, so strength cost, it will go in minus. Strength cost equals to cost, then strength -3. And here everything will be the same, except we will change what's length into the strength. So like this into this. Strength, yeah. Moving on, we're gonna copy this, paste it down, and we will have our offline. Buy offline earnings, like this. So everything here we're gonna say offline earnings plus offline earning costs, cost offline -3. What else? Then we're gonna have here offline earnings. Here will be offline for the ID, and then wallet. And now, last but not least, we will have our collect money. So public void collect money, like this, and then wallet equals to total gain. And then player preferences, I'm just gonna copy this to our wallet. So wallet, back to main, screen manager main. And last but not least, we're gonna collect our money, but double time. So collect money double. Collect double money, and this will be just total gain multiplied by 2. Everything else will stay the same. So yeah guys, that will be it for our idle manager. As we have our screen manager and we put everything up, you'll see how will this work. Now if I start our game, you'll actually see that we will print down when did we left. So when I left our game, you will see that we will print when did we left. And then once we come back, we will have a reward for it because, as I said, we have our offline earnings in our game. So guys, as I said, that will be it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.